Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I think we're now ready to appreciate this code for what it is. We're a little bit better equipped. Okay, so let's see here. Check, check, check. Everything seems to be in check. Okay, so this is going to be a pretty long piece of code, right? Pretty long. Looks to be roughly at a minimum 97 lines, but we're probably going to expand it a little bit more than that. This is to switch on or off the fan, and I disabled the fan on my smart home. I didn't disable it. I ran a different piece of code. Like we were running other pieces of code, and I specifically turned off the fan so it wouldn't sit there and you know burn itself out by swapping direction all the time. So instead, we ran some dummy code that didn't include the fan. I did save that sketch in another folder. We can run it, but right now we're gonna run this one. So here's what we're doing, right? So for those of you who are following along and like really want to know like how this works, like if you have one of these kits and you're having trouble, like this is your first time coding and things like that, none of this makes sense to you, this is what we're doing. This you're the ones that I'm really doing this for. So I'm highlighting all of this and I'm pasting it over into this sketch over here, right? Because that's all I need for the code. Make sure you get every little single piece, right? And then I'm reading the test result is I'm not going to copy this, but I'm just reading it. I highlighted to help me read it. Click the button 1 and the fan starts to rotate. Click the button 2. The speed could be adjusted. There are 3 different speeds. Press the button 1 again and the fan stops. Okay. So button 1 turns the fan off and on. Button 2 is going to cause the fan to button 2 is going to cause the fan to do its thing. So before let me grab that one. Before I get started, I'm going to try and give you the best view that I can of our code. And then I got my code right over here, right on top of it. Slightly different view. One of these days I will hook up a separate set of monitors, but right now I'm doing this all on one monitor right now, and it's a bit of a challenge. So how are we going to negotiate all of this code, right? Well, first off, I am going to keep this model handy right next door to me. And first thing I'm going to do is come up here with all the define statements. I'm going to put a couple of spaces in there. I think I'll be safe for these for now. Put a space there. Okay, there's our setup, right? Our setup function. So separate the setup function. And it's going to highlight these and tab all these in once. Okay. Now, what do we got so far? We define, remember all these are defining a constant and we're interfacing with a piece of hardware. So that's why we call it, we're defining a constant. This name FanPan 19, FanPan 18, button 1 is 16, button 27, button 2 is 27. So these are being defined as constants. They won't be changing throughout the life of this because they're hardwired to the machinery. So that's what that defined statement is right up here. Defining a constant by the name of button 2 to this pin. We're interfacing with hardware. We're creating 3 integers up here. Okay, button count 2, and speed value, pulse width, modulation value. Okay. So our setup, serial, so we can communicate with the console. We've done that before, so we know what that is. We're establishing our pin modes. So here's our uh, 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 fan pin 1, fan pin 2, button 1, button 2, button 1, button 2, fan pin 1, fan pin 2. Establishing that these are inputs and these are outputs. We've done that before, so this is all just establishing stuff. Now here's where the fun begins. What I'm going to do down here is I see we have a new function here. I'm going to scroll all the way down and I'll look for another. There's a switch case. So I'm going to separate the switch statement out. And that's nested in there pretty good, so we'll separate that out. Okay. Ooh-wee. So let's do this. Let's highlight this, and let's scroll up and see where that goes to. That's not in the loop function. Okay. All of this is in the loop function. Yeah. Okay. So, right there, everything here is going to be, everything right here is going to be indented once. So we'll tab all that. Okay. Let's, now, everything under this Boolean, let's see here. No, okay. So this is, they're declaring a Boolean. Right in here, they're declaring a Boolean, naming it button value, and they're using this digital read function to read button 1, the state of button 1. As it changes, every time the loop runs, whatever it happens to be when the loop is running, read that button, return the value, and the value is going to be a Boolean, a 1 or a 0. Button 1. So these notes are for telling us we are programming button 1. And that's good to know. So let's see here. I want to, that sounds kind of stupid, but I want these up here on the if statements. That way, if I go down here, no, it's not that one. Where is it? See, the close for that is all the way down here. That means all of this needs to be indented. Right? So, I know, right? It seems like a pain in the butt. But we're just breaking this down, right? We're just breaking this all down. So once again, I'm going to highlight that. You see, that's going to go right up to our if statement, right? It's going to make it easier to read. So then we have this delay of 10 seconds. And just bring that up and say, we know that's a debounce delay. Okay. And then down here, we have another if statement. So I'm going to copy, whoa. I want to copy that. And we're going to bring that up here. And see the close for this statement is right here. You see that? That's the close for that statement. So everything between here, I hope I got the right one. That gets indented. Right, that makes sense. And now This is actually going to go down here. Okay. I'm leaving a lot of space in here. Let's see. Where's. See, there's the close of a while statement. I'm leaving a lot of space in here for clarity. We're not trying to. We're just trying to make everything kind of easy to read. Right now, ease of reading is more important. The computer's not going to read all this white space. Oops, going the wrong way. Okay. The computer's not going to read all this white space, but if you don't know code very well, this will make it easier for you to read it. And that's what this is all about. So we're going to indent all of that. And once again, I'm checking this by saying, okay, this group right here, this pair of curly braces is for this if statement. So everything in here goes to that if statement. Right? That's what we're doing. Okay, so now I'm just tightening up the code. We know that that's a comment. Some of the stuff looks like it's out of place. Some of this stuff looks like it's out, and it is because we just copy and pasted it over. That's why we have to tighten this all up, because it looks terrible. And then I'm gonna spend a couple minutes there. That looks a lot better. We can tighten it up even more, but right now I'm kind of showing you how to separate code out by all these little code blocks here. Okay, that's what we're doing here. Now, we have another couple of statements here. I'm gonna X that one out. 10. Okay. So where's the close of our while statement? Oh, this while statement right here, where does it close at? It closes all the way down here, the third one up, this one. So that's a big one. Okay, that's no problem. So we're going to take this, we're going to highlight it all the way down here. What you want, dog? What's up, Crunchy? Crunchy is a giant cat. I don't think he's a full Maine Coon. I think he's part Maine Coon. But he's huge. And he wails. He's really loud, like that hairy thing from the Star Wars. So I named him Crunchbaka, like the hairy thing from the Star Wars. Okay. So we have our digital right, fan 1, fan low. So we know those are fan pin 2, speed value, okay, analog right. And so this is going to be our button to, oh, so this is all while, power state 1, okay. Did you even read this code up here? Probably not. If button value 1 equals 0, if the button is pressed, delay 10 seconds. There's a debounce delay. So if you hammer on it. If button value 1 is equal to 0, the press is confirmed. The Boolean button state is assigned the value of state 1. Now while button state is equal to 1, the value of 1, waiting for a button release. The Boolean button value is digital read the state of the button. So when you let off, that's going to change. This is all in the loop function. Okay. If the button value is equal to 1, increase that button count plus plus. Serial print to the console. We wouldn't include that in production, but it's great for testing. Serial print the button count to the console to make sure everything's working right. And then if we were going into production, we would eliminate that line of code because we're not printing anything to the console in production. It's out for sale to the customer. They're not going to hook it up and read it this way. And then it says change the button state to 0. Okay. And then the Boolean, we declare a Boolean. I'll put a little space here for that. Boolean power state equals the button count divided by 2, or the modulus, right? So it's either going to be a 1 or a 0, basically. Well, no, it's the button count divided by 2, I believe. The modulos are different thing. So anyway, it doesn't matter. And now we are working on writing out this while statement. We have while power state equals 1. So we're doing all of this while the fan is on. We're writing this fan pin low to set the direction. And we're writing this fan with a speed value to set the speed. Okay. So we could probably also change the direction by, let's see, that's passed as an integer value. So, okay. So anyway, we're making our code nice and neat. That's what we're doing. And we're starting this new section called button 2, speed adjustment handling. See up here we have button 1. Okay, button 2. So I'm going to give a little space for our if statement. And once again, this is all kind of, every time I move these curly braces, you don't absolutely have to do that, but that's the way I like to do it, because it helps me kind of figure out, okay, you see, let's see here, everything's based off this line here, this while statement, right? But watch, if I'm going to hit this value here, this if, and I want to go down here. Oh, see, it's right here. That's where this if statement is at. Isn't that interesting? So, everything up here. All of this is going to get indented once. And now our line has moved, so now we're concerned with everything that's within this if statement, right? So we have a debounce delay, and then we have another if statement. Hold on, X that. Okay, now where's the bottom of this one at? These are some big if statements. That's all the way down here, right? So everything from Boolean right here to down here, that all gets indented, right? Okay, so let's separate our Boolean statement. We have a while statement. Oh, X, just to cut that. Bring it over, Control V to paste it. Okay, so where does our while statement is down here. So let's just highlight this Boolean and tab all that stuff over. Okay. And let's tighten that up real quick. We're just kind of making sure we have some space to where we can read everything. cleanly. This if statement down here. So you see how I'm structuring all of this to where, whoops, crap. There we go. See how we're structuring all of this to where I'm just identifying what everything is. Because otherwise, before it was that, right? So everything here gets indented. And that's all we're doing. We're just breaking the code down into little pieces like this, so we can make it more readable. Yep, we're getting there. We got this if statement right here, and I'm gonna, this is how I like to write my functions. You said if you want to put it down here, you can. But I like having my curly braces on the same line with the name of the function, or with the name of the if statement, whatever you want to call it. I like writing mine that way. I mean, look at it. It is a function, right? If, just like you see in any other function, this delay, and then parentheses and a value inside, right? If, parentheses, and an equation inside. If whatever this equation evaluates to, if that's true, then do the thing below it. So the if is really, it's a function. Probably I would probably end up calling it a method, but most people just call it an if statement. But you see how it is a function. It's so let's see here. Our switch case. Okay. And then everything within the switch case is going to tab in. And we'll go back and make sure everything's tightened up here in just a minute. But oh yeah, okay. Case 1. Okay. Case 2. Case 3. See how it makes everything a little bit easier to read for all of our switch statements. Okay. And then we have this rogue button state 2 equals 0 after something happens. So that's our last if statement. Okay. This all looks to be in place. I know it must be. We spent an hour doing it, right? It's not that bad. Okay, and now we check for power off. That's our last bit right here. We see how we took that nasty code before, and now we've kind of separated it out and made it look so much better and so much more easy to read. And that's really kind of the most important part about writing code. If you don't enjoy doing this, don't get into code. It's not for you, but I'm just saying, like, you won't enjoy it. But you just gotta, if you can't sit here and write code and chill, then just don't even try, because it's not easy money. If this is a headache to you, the money will not come easy. You just got to be able to sit here and just write some friggin' code. Just boom, write the code. But it's fun. I mean, making stuff work. Okay, we're gonna indent that a little bit, making it look pretty. It's like a signature. I mean, it really is. Like, if you get into professional coding, and there's usually some dude in your office, like, nobody wants to read his code because it's garbage. And anyway, button 1 value, read the value of digital. If button value is equal to 0, and then there's a debounce delay. And then if the button value is equal to 0, digital write, fan 1 pin low, to analog write, fan pin 2, avoid a value, power state equals 0, exit fan controller. So, gosh, that took about forever and a half, didn't it? So I bet you're anxious to. Where's my camera? Turn on my camera. And bring that. Let's see, that's the ID. Okay, so let's test sketch. We'll bring this down to here. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. Now, we're going to run it. Let's see what happens. So far, no errors. Okay. So, in accordance with the prophecy. Uh-oh. Whoa, look at that. Oh. Okay. So that's button 1. Okay. Button 2. Button 2. Oh, button 2. So there's 3 speeds. Button 2. Okay. I think that delay, that debounce is like 10 milliseconds. I'm just saying it's a tiny, it's not 10 full seconds, it's 10 milliseconds. So like there. I'm not saying I can hit it 10 milliseconds fast. Let me turn it off, but hey, look. All right. Our fan is working. How awesome is that? So we put everything together right, and our code is working, and we worked out that big code smell that was ugly as hell. Excuse me. That was disgusting. That was ugly. That was some ugly code, you know, but we fixed it. Well, I mean, you and I together, mostly it was me. I did all the work, but I mean, you know, anyway, yeah. So we did that, and let's see, what are we going to do in the next video? In the next video, here's my instructions. I lost my instructions. It'll be a mystery. All right, that's enough for right now.